Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon says a transgender woman jailed for raping two women will not serve her sentence in Scotland's only all-female prison. Isla Bryson carried out the rapes when she was known as Adam Graham. She's been transitioning since 2020 after being charged with the crimes. Bryson is being held at Cornton Vale Women's Prison in Stirling. Currently, she's being kept away from other prisoners there. At First Minister's questions in Holyrood, Ms Sturgeon said a risk assessment was being carried out by the prison service.
Now, it would not be appropriate for me, in respect of any prisoner, to give details of where they are being incarcerated. But given the understandable public and parliamentary concern in this case, I can confirm to Parliament that this prisoner will not be incarcerated at Cornton Vale Women's Prison. And I hope that provides assurance to the public, Presiding Officer, not least to the victims in this particular case.
Well, Rhona Hotchkiss was the governor of that prison until 2017. Good afternoon.
Hello, Sarah.
Who makes these decisions? How are they normally decided?
So they're usually decided by the prison service. It's a misunderstanding that the court has anything to do with this. This is a decision made by the prison service. In terms of where prisoners go and so on once they're in the prison, that's normally down to the governor of the prison. So I believe that this person was held in what people would understand as segregation for the first few days after they were sent to prison by the court. However, that order, which can be done by the local governor, will have expired by now. And for that to be extended, it has to be done by Scottish ministers. So I think there's a question to be asked here about whether this person is now still being held in segregation or have they been brought into association. If they've been brought into association, they must already have been moved to a male prison.
Well, hold on a second. What do you mean brought into association?
So you're either in segregation or you're in association with everyone else that's
right,
in
you're
the
just
prison.
mingling with everybody else.
That's it, yes.
So why are you saying then that they must have been in a male prison?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if they are still at Cornton Vale, Scottish ministers must have approved an extension to their segregation conditions. Now, I find that very, very odd because the conditions around segregation are really strict. It's a human rights issue, quite rightly, because it's the most extreme form of imprisonment. And I can't see any way that this person would meet the requirements of segregation. Further, had this person been sent to a male prison, there would have been no need for segregation. This has been the equivalent of taking a white racist and putting them in a unit with Asian prisoners and then segregating them because it's not safe for them to be there. This was totally unnecessary.
If you'd been the governor of the prison, which, I mean, from what you're saying, you wouldn't have had a say whether they arrived there, but once they had arrived there, you would then have a say of what to do with them.
Yes, you do. As the governor, you're in charge of the good order of the prison and so on. But I would have found this really difficult because if that person was not presenting any immediate threat to women, so if they were not threatening to attack or rape them or attack other staff or so on, or not being disruptive in the prison, I don't think there would have been any grounds to hold them in segregation. So I find it very, very strange that this has all happened at all and in the way it has.
So even though they have been convicted of rape, they are not seen as a threat to women?
No, they may be seen as a threat to women. It's the difference. It's the difference between being in association and being in segregation. So segregation has a much higher qualifying line, if you like. You actually have to be actively threatening people to be in segregation.
So you could,
and that's the difficulty.
So you could be mingling with other prisoners even though you have been convicted of rape.
Oh yes. And had
now,
this person gone to a male prison, that would have happened.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know you're no longer governor of the prison. You're now a director of Beera's Place project, which was set up to be woman only, not to cater for trans women. When you were at the prison, did you ever come across something like this before, where there were issues with trans prisoners?
Not to this extreme level. I did come across issues with trans prisoners, and it was behavioural issues, sexualised behaviour and the like. But never.
What do you mean? Can you explain what you mean?
I don't want to go into too graphic terms about it, But male prisoners taken some pride in displaying their male genitalia, that kind of thing, among women, not with no clothes on, but it's difficult
So what,
to
a
bring
trans
to
woman
such
who
details.
hasn't gone through
Yes.
is
Yes.
right. Okay,
Yes.
hasn't gone through any
I
physical
never,
changes.
I never met a trans woman in prison who has gone through any physical changes.
And have you met many trans women in prison?
Yes. I've met quite a few and been aware of many others as well.
And is the answer then to have separate wings or even a separate prison?
Yes, I would suggest that the answer to this is to have a separate unit for trans-identifying males, trans-identifying people, but mostly males. I can't see any other way through this. There's a question to be asked after Nicola Sturgeon has spoken today, because all she said was, this person will not be held in Cornton Vale. She didn't say this person will not be held in any women's prison, because there are several other prisons around Scotland that hold women in women's units within male prisons. So I think that has to be asked as well. We
Rhona.
shouldn't just be asking, is he in Cornton Vale? Where is he?
Rhona Hotchkiss, thank you very much.